But I do suggest that you do what Tim did and take charge of your own thinking and use that daily question to stimulate your own thinking every day. Because with one simple question, he transformed his entire life. There are three very identifiable groups of people out there. There are optimists, there are pessimists, and there are those who say, I'm not a pessimist, I'm not an optimist, I'm a realist. Okay, the optimist says, somewhere, somehow, there's a way. Okay? The pessimist says, there is no way. You might as well give up. Forget it. It's not going to work. The realist says, and I can prove it. Every time a realist opens his or her mouth, they open it to say something negative. See, all of us need to be realistic in acknowledging what's there in the world, but it's how we look at what's there in the world that determines whether we see possibilities in it, no possibilities in it, and whether we see possibilities that have been negated by current reality. Typically a realist attitude is this. They'll say, I've looked at the situation and based on the current reality, it can't be done. Well, when's the last time the current reality was the ongoing reality? So if all you look at is the current reality, of course the limitations will be the only thing you see. Who trained you how to think? Who taught you to look at the world the way you look at the world? Do you remember when Matthew McConaughey got the Academy Award? And he said, when I was a 15-year-old kid, a man asked me, who's your hero? And I said, it's me 10 years from now. He said, because that guy's so much better than I am. He said, then I got to 25, and the guy said, now who's your hero? Me 10 years from now. He said, I'm never as good as I could be. It's a moving target. I'll never reach it. But if I'm not aspiring to be better and better and better than I've ever been, then I stop growing. And when you stop growing, naturally, all you see, Donnie, are limitations. That's it. That's all that's out there, right? So optimist, pessimist, realist, let's just kill that argument to start with. Optimism is the only healthy way to look at the world. And we ought to be the ones training ourselves in how to look at things. In 1979, I got a call from an outfit called Tidy Car. Tidy Car was based in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. Toronto, basically. And they were an auto detailing company, and they sold a $1,500 package that if you bought it, you got a franchise to be a Tidy Car dealer. And so as a Tidy Car dealer, you got to go out and detail cars using their method. And it was a very impressive method. It worked real well. And so thousands of people from around the world bought the Tidy Car franchise, and Tidy Car started offering training for all these people so that they could grow their business. And I was brought in as the flavor of the month to do the training in Chicago in January of 1979. 1979, one of the hardest winters they ever had in that city. They had to dig the cars out. I was there, got to enjoy that. Well, anyway, I was there training this group of Tidy Car people. I had a group about the size of this segment of the audience. And I was doing a seminar on how to build your business. And just, basic business skills, how to build your business. And there was a guy in the front row, 19-year-old kid, had white hair, white eyebrows, innocent looking face, looked like he'd never had a dirty thought. He's just there like this, and he's writing notes. Everything I say, he's writing it down. And his name's Tim Seward. And at the end of my seminar, he came up and he said, excuse me, Mr. Cathcart? And I said, yes. And he said, can I ask you a question? I said, sure. He said, hey, could I sit with you at lunch? Okay. So we went to lunch. We sat down together. He asked me 1,000 questions, it seemed. And then he said, can I ask one last question? Okay. Do you have a quote? A quote? Yeah, a motto, a slogan, something I could use to motivate myself every day. I said, no. And he said, really? And I said, no, I have something better. I have a question. And I want you to ask this question to yourself every single day, as often as you can think of, to ask the question. He said, okay, what's the question? I said, ask yourself, how would the person I'd like to be do the things I'm about to do? He said, so I think of someone I want to be like, and I said, no, that's not it. You think of you in the future, the more advanced, more educated, more enlightened, the more mature, the more successful you. And you ask, how would that version of me do today's tasks? He said, oh, I get it. I said, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? Give me a goal. He said, I want to be the international sales leader for Tidy Car. I said, wow, 19-year-old kid, brand new in the business, no experience, no degree. I thought this is going to be a challenge, but what the heck? I said, okay, every day, ask yourself, how would the person I'd like to be, the international sales leader, Tim, do today's work? He said, okay. So he went back home to Bay City, Michigan. In Bay City, the first thing he did was write that down on a little card and put it up over his workbench. And then he put it above his bed in the bedroom so he'd see it every day. And then he put it on the visor in his vehicle so that he'd see it even more often. Everywhere he looked, how would the person I'd like to be, in his case it was, how would the international sales leader do what I'm about to do? First thing he did was change the way he dressed. He got rid of the t-shirt and jeans, got some coveralls with Tidy Car on the back, Tim on the pocket. So he's looking official now. He started organizing his files better and being more professional about that. He started doing a better job for each and every customer, following through much more fully, even polishing the inside of their ashtray in the car when he could. And so he did some pretty impressive work for his clients. Well, his clients spread the word, this guy's great. And Tim had so much business, he had to hire other people. So when he hired other people to help him, he needed a permanent location, so he bought a service station lease and had a location, and he was doing great. His business thrived. Fast forward, end of the year, Tidy Car calls me. They said, Jim, we want you to come to New Orleans, be the keynote speaker at our international sales convention. Hilton Hotel, French Quarter. I go to New Orleans. Sure enough, big, beautiful hotel room. Everything's set up elegant as can be. Up on the stage, right over here, there is a white Chevrolet Corvette. They're going to give that to the international sales leader. So nobody knows who's won, but everybody knows who's in the running. And of course, Tim's one of those in the running. But anyway, the evening goes on. I do my speech, and I turn the mic over to Gary Goranson, the president of the company. He comes up to the front. He says, ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to believe the contest this year. He said, talk about close. The person in position number 2 led number 3 by only 1 point. 3 led 4 by 1 point. 4 led 5 by 2 points. 5 led 6 by 1 point. It was close, except for number 1. The person who won the contest, number 1, led number 2 by 300 points. For first place, there was no contest. Welcome with me, your international sales leader from Bay City, Michigan, Tim Seward. The place went insane. Man, I mean, music's playing, spotlights are sweeping the room. The people loved Tim. They picked him up on their shoulders. They're dancing around the room. But I do suggest that you do what Tim did and take charge of your own thinking and use that daily question to stimulate your own thinking every day. Because with one simple question, he transformed his entire life. He did. I didn't do it, he did it. So in 1998, I flew to Fort Myers, Florida, and I was met at the airport. Now remember, this is a long time later. That was 79. 98, I fly to Fort Myers, and I'm met at the airport by a 39-year-old man named Tim Seward. Exactly. We drive to his home in Naples, and we dine by his indoor swimming pool. And he tells me about his life. And I said, what did you do? He said, well, I built my Tidy Car franchise and I was really successful. And then I sold it. So I built another business supplying people like that. And I sold that and built a third business. And I just sold that this last December for $7 million. I said, Tim, I just got one question. He said, what's that? Do you have a quote, slogan, a motto I could use to motivate myself every day? He said, yeah, Jim. Every day, ask yourself, how would the person I'd like to be do the things I'm about to do? We need to take charge of training our thinking.